Hey, Eagle staff, just a few things that we didn't think we were going to have time for in the faculty meeting, so I thought it might be nice to send it out as a video rather than as a lengthy email that takes a lot of time to read. And so just a few things to run down the list of here. First of all, parent-teacher conferences. We know that those are coming up on October 24th and 25th. We'll be here from 5 o'clock until 8 o'clock p.m. on the 24th and follow that up with a normal duty day for conferences on the 25th. PTA Association is planning on putting together some meals for us on those evenings. The more details on that to come. But in the meantime, just a few things related to those conferences. First of all, we had a decision to not do report cards on that night. We typically in the past have done report cards given to Eagle Hour teachers. At this point, the vast majority of our students have an Eagle Hour, 8th hour, and 1st hour are together, and so we don't necessarily need that time for the parents to encourage them to come to the Eagle Hour because most of those are going to happen anyway naturally just as part of their 8th hour classes. The other reason for it obviously is just trying to avoid killing trees, and we are trying to make that move away from parent-teacher conferences being solely about grades. Certainly there's room for parent-teacher conferences to still continue to have those conversations about grades, but by the time conferences roll around, those grades will have posted, and the report cards are essentially going to be a couple of weeks old, and so the new quarter's grade is going to be the more important thing at that point anyway. So for all those reasons, we decided to move away from doing report cards printed out for every student. By all means, of course, if we want to have those conversations, would encourage you to do that around the student's current grade as well as what their first quarter grade ended up being. All that being said, we are encouraging you as teachers and us as a building, challenging you to move away from that old concept of parent-teacher conferences being about what the student grade looks like at any given point in time, and moving that to be more about what they've truly learned, tying it back to the curriculum, back to the standards. What is your student good at, and what are some areas that they can experience some growth in? To generate some of those conversations, we are printing off all of their MAP scores for both math and for ELA. Those are going to be given to each student's math and ELA teacher, but we're also encouraging all teachers to have that student profile piece pulled up, or the family access report, whichever report you're most comfortable with working through, and to tie those skills that the student has real strengths in back to the class and what you're seeing in terms of growth, as well as the areas of growth that they need to show, and tying that back to areas that they need to show growth in the actual class. And so just that moving that needle of the conversation to really and truly being about the learning rather than about the grade, which obviously we're hoping that those are one and the same in a lot of ways. The next piece is the idea of finishing out our quarter, and I know many teachers have been through programs such as the Power of I, or Zeros Aren't Permitted, where essentially we don't put in zeros for students' grades. And I'm a big proponent and a believer of the philosophy behind that, but would encourage all teachers as we approach the end of the quarter, really getting into that phase and possibly even being too late for this, but the mindset being that we want to put those grades in there, whatever that grade will be. If you are a teacher that doesn't believe in giving a zero and you want to put a 50% in there for an assignment that the student hasn't turned in, you're welcome to do that if that's what the final grade is going to be if the student doesn't turn them in. But what we don't want to do is not give the parent an idea of what that grade for the quarter is going to be, and then all of a sudden at the end of the quarter we put in all the zeros and their grade goes from a C or a D all the way down to that rock bottom F. We don't want to surprise parents. So as long as we've been in contact with parents, letting them know all the way along, and you move that zero and put that zero in at the end of the quarter, then maybe it's not going to be a surprise. But in general, the mindset is we don't want to have surprises for families, and so would really encourage you to put that final grade in for both the student and the parent to see when they go into Skyward, so that they don't have those surprises later on. Next thing is program of studies, and we are, believe it or not, even though we're not officially finished with the first quarter yet. We're already starting to have conversations about what the program of studies is going to look like for the 2020-2021 school year. And so if you have an idea or a thought on what a great creative class would be for a students at Hawker Grove Middle School, and you're thinking that you would like to propose that to be added either as a pilot program or as a full class for all students across all middle schools in the district to take, please be having those conversations as a department and let me know so that we know what to bring to our larger middle school program studies meetings that will be happening here within the next month or so. So putting that on your radar to be considering. And another reminder, I've had it in the Grove Report the last couple of weeks, but just another reminder, the Human Resources Department has asked for us to prioritize this, and that is the scheduling of an appointment at the Priority 1 Health Clinic. If you need to use the services of Priority 1, by all means, of course, the district has put that out there as a benefit for all staff to use. I would encourage you to use that, but obviously the word is that we have some folks showing up, not we specifically at Hawker Grove, but across the district, have some teachers that are showing up or staff that don't have an appointment, and that just kind of puts everybody in a bind. And so do your best to try to make sure that you're reaching out to the Priority 1 Health Clinic if at all possible before going over for an appointment at that time. Next thing is Eagle Hour procedures, and just really making sure that we are, as a staff, together as a unified group, making sure that we're using the same procedures all the way across so that students don't see those inconsistencies and find ways to take advantage of them, whether either intentionally or sometimes unintentionally. And so essentially from 8:20 until 8:45, we're allowed to use that single pass to allow a student to go. That's a little bit less structured time. And so if you need to send a student to another teacher to check in on something, pick up an assignment, that sort of thing, school hasn't officially started at that point yet. At 8:45, that becomes a much more structured time. That is the time that we as a group have decided that we want for that time to be the triplicate pass. And so if a student has not arranged with the teacher to have gone to see them and they've already got that triplicate pass from the other teacher that they want to travel to, they are not to go from that 8:45 till 9:15 time. So please, as a staff, we want to make sure that we are holding to that as a group, not making exceptions. Again, that 8:45 to 9:15 time is what we really got to be structured with. The next thing related to Eagle Hour is supervision. Where students are building-wide, we want teachers to be. And so at 8:20, when that first bell rings for Eagle Hour students to come to us, just a reminder that we are on duty at that point. If you've got kids in your classroom, we need to make sure that we have a teacher there to monitor those students to make sure that they are safe and doing right things. And so please make sure that we're making that a priority. And so that's essentially the things that I wanted to run through with you. I hope you're having a great day, and go Eagles.